today I am drinking this wine that I found recently and I cannot put it down. This is the Cuvée Spéciale Les Dauphins Côte de Rhône. This is $9.99. What? It's so smooth. It goes with everything. I can even just drink it after a long day at work without having had like, you know, a Lay's potato chip before, and it doesn't feel too intense. Yeah, that's right. My favorite thing is Lay's potato chips and red wine. So this says it is bursting with ripe summer fruits, all backed up with rich, spicy, peppery flavors. That is my favorite type of wine. Okay, so I asked you guys in my last video if you were into me doing some videos about visiting New York City, different restaurants, bars, like my recommendations essentially. I got an overwhelming response. So if this goes well and you guys are into this, I'm probably going to do like a whole series. This first video is all about my recommendations for the best restaurants and bars in New York City. There are a million restaurants and bars, but these are a collection that I have honed over the years that I feel very strongly about. I get being a tourist in New York City. I remember one of my first visits here with my mom. We stayed in this shoebox of a room in Times Square. I mean, it was super cute, but we couldn't even turn around twice. We stayed in Times Square. I don't think we ever left Times Square, much to my horror now. We just didn't know any better. We didn't know where to go. We were overwhelmed. We didn't know where to begin, so we just didn't really begin. We just kind of stayed where we were. But you know what? I want something better for you guys. I want you to come to the city. I want you to have like delicious food and drinks for not a lot of money. I will say that's one thing that a lot of people think. You come to New York City, you have to spend tons of money. Almost all of these restaurants that I'm about to talk about are not breaking the bank. You're welcome. New York City is super intimidating when you visit. That's why a lot of people don't even bother leaving the area they're staying, because where do you begin, right? There's just too much. Even to this day, I'm seeing things I've never seen before in my life, and I've been here for almost 15 years. Feels about right. Another thing that I think people get really nervous about when it comes to New York is the fact that there are so many areas and each of them has a different name. There's the East Village, the West Village, Greenwich Village, Harlem, Chelsea, Upper West Side, East Side, Midtown, Midtown East, Washington Heights, Hudson Heights, Morningside Heights. Whoa, it's a lot. But you really don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? You just have to go where I tell you to go. I'm gonna make it easy for you. I live in Harlem. I have lived in Harlem since 2009. It has some of the best restaurants and bars in New York City. So I'm going to kick this off talking about not only one of the best restaurants in Harlem, the best restaurants in this city. I've never had a bad time when I've gone to Red Rooster. So this is one of Marcus Samuelson's restaurants. It is very well known and for good reason. I have eaten there several times over the last few years, and the thing I love about it is that it is Harlem. You're getting huge portions of incredible heightened comfort food in this really hip, eclectic setting. They make fantastic drinks. It is just, it's perfect. It's a perfect date night place. It's some of the best food I've ever had in the city. If I had to pick one place, like you got one place to eat in your entire visit to New York City, and you just wanted to have a fabulous night, a fabulous experience, I would say go to Red Rooster. I'm also gonna tell you some of the food that I've had at these restaurants, so get ready to salivate your ass off. We had the Obama short rib, which was so juicy and moist, I could barely handle it. We also had to get an order of the hot honey yardbird, duh. I'm reading this right off the menu, so it's light and dark meat, garlic mash, braised succotash, and dirty gravy. Dirty gravy. You better run, do not walk. I'll tell you what, we rolled out of that damn place and it was all worth it. Oh, I almost forgot. We also got Marcus's cornbread with a sweet potato butter. And of course, I had to get an order of the mac and greens, cheddar, parmesan, and collard greens, which just makes you feel so much better about getting mac and cheese because it's healthy. You can see why we rolled out. I really did feel like Marlon Brando in his heavy years. So they've also got Ginny's Supper Club, which is awesome, and I've never been, but I've always wanted to go. It's a classic Harlem speakeasy where they have legendary live jazz, and this is on my New York City list. And I didn't even know this, but I'm seeing that on Sunday mornings at the Supper Club, they have a gospel brunch. I want to say I've been to Red Rooster about 4 or 5 times since I've lived here, and every time has been flawless. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Italian. I feel like when people think of New York City, they think of Italian food, right? You want to come here and have at least one like really authentic, delicious Italian meal. I have two favorite Italian places and they're both uptown. The first of which is called Bono Trattoria. And yes, I'm Jada right now, so just go with it. So this is in an area called Hudson Heights. It's a little bit above Harlem. It's below Washington Heights, and it's on a strip of bars and restaurants that's really cool. So what we love to do is go and have a cocktail or a beer at one of the really cool bars on the next block, then walk over to Bono, and I honestly feel like I'm back in Italy. In the summertime, it's great because they open these huge windows and you feel like you're eating in like an open air restaurant. In the winter, it's so cozy. They have a wood-fired pizza oven. It's just so lovely. Their pizza's great, but I will tell you what my favorite dish of all time is. I get it almost every single time. The strozzapreti alla norcina, sweet sausage, porcini mushrooms in a truffle cream sauce. I know. So going a little bit further uptown, I'm going to tell you about my all-time favorite Italian restaurant. This is pretty far uptown. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a little bit of a trek, but I wouldn't tell you about it if I didn't think it was worth it. The name of it is Saji. It's in the 170s. It's in Washington Heights. It's on this very quaint, quiet block, and it's also surrounded by a couple really cute bars. I love how intimate and candlelit this place is. They also have a bangin' happy hour, and if you think that that doesn't come into play as far as what my favorites are, you got another thing coming. Alcohol's expensive here in New York City. That is one thing that is always overpriced. However, if you hit up happy hour, you're nailing it. I love to get the grilled calamari. You just squeeze that lemon on there and it's all peppery and sorry, some saliva just like shot out. And then I keep it super simple and I just get the pasta al limone, just lemon and olive oil and garlic and Parmesan and just the most perfectly cooked al dente pasta. I mean, get out of town. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is an Ethiopian restaurant, and I feel like Ethiopian food does not get the play it deserves. I feel like the people who know about Ethiopian food and who have experienced it are obsessed with it, and then there's everyone else who's never tried it and is just like, I mean, I don't know, like you have to use your hands and like I'm kind of scared. Well, stop it. So we're coming back down to Harlem. This place is in Manabe. The name of it is Zoma, and it is incredible, authentic Ethiopian food. Now, let me tell you what that means. Ethiopian food is based around injera, and injera is one of the most delicious bread-like substances you'll ever eat. It's like a huge, like this big pancake or crepe. It's savory. It also doesn't have much gluten in it, if any at all, so it makes it really safe for people who cannot ingest gluten. And then come the meats and the sauces. Also, it's not all just meat. I'm sure there's vegetarian options, but basically you get these incredible saucy meats that are plopped down on top of this giant savory pancake. You tear the savory pancake and you use it as a utensil and you scoop up all of the delicious meats and sauces. What are you doing? Why haven't you tried it? Like, Randy had never had Ethiopian food and I could tell he was a little bit hesitant, and I took him and he was like, what have I been doing all this time? This is insane. And when you wash it down with a glass of savory red wine, Zoma, remember it. Also want to let you know that everything I talk about is of course going to be linked down below in the description box, so you don't have to go and grab your pencil and paper and freak out and write everything down. I've done the work for you. I would be remiss if I did not mention my favorite wine store in New York City. And you're like, Kate, why are you mentioning a wine store? I'm staying in a hotel. What am I gonna do with that? You're gonna go and buy some wine glasses or get a paper cup and you're gonna go back to your room and have a nightcap. You're welcome. Again. Or you're gonna have a pregame before you go out and spend more money on food and alcohol. You're welcome for a third time. This fantastic wine store is called the Winery, and so much of the wine that I feature is from the Winery. Ironically, not the wine I'm drinking today. So sorry. If you're in Morningside Heights, which is just a smaller area of Harlem, which is the area that I live in, and everyone calm down, I'm not telling you where I live, check out the Winery. They're not just another wine or liquor store. They're really not. You walk in, you feel like you're in someone's home. They're always playing like really cool music, super chill jazz. They're having free tastings. You can find like really expensive, fancy ass wines. You can also find wines for $8.95 that are incredible, which are basically the wines that I go for. If you go to the winery, please tell them that Cate the Great says hi. I am such a fan and I patronize them probably a little too much. I am a VIP there. Anyway. Okay, so now we're moving on to Midtown. So this is closer to Times Square so that everyone feels comfortable. The reason I want to include this is because, in all seriousness, I do know that a lot of people who visit New York City stay in Times Square. And I want to talk about some different options that will take you out of that area and expose you to some really great food and a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit more serenity than what you'll find on 42nd Street. I swear to God, if I find out that you guys go to Applebee's in a moment of weakness, I will come and I will find you. Another thing that is super New York is going and having that super fancy New York City cocktail. So I'm going to give you a great option that is a very short walk from Times Square. The name of it is Tanner Smith's, and they have some of the best mixologists there. I mean, you are going to get a legit fancy ass cocktail. It's like comfortable and chill and yet kind of bougie and fancy at the same time. It kind of really spans that gap. They also have great comfort food. A lot of the staff is Irish, which, let's be honest, who isn't enchanted by that? I'm sure there's going to be some hot Irish bartender who'll chat you up while he's making your fancy cocktail with an egg white foam. No, seriously, it's such a great place to go. And if you go like after shows, you might see some Broadway stars. So now we're going to move on to Hell's Kitchen. This is 9th Avenue. This is Restaurant Row. This is the place I tell tourists to go if they don't want to stray too far from Times Square. It's walkable. You just walk over a couple avenues, but it's worth it because you kind of get out of that like mega touristy area. It's just, I mean, it's Restaurant Row. There's a lot of great places. One of those places is super busy. It's super popular, but I feel like I need to mention it because it has my favorite burger. It's Fave Napkin Burger. Now, this is a really popular chain in New York City. I go there specifically to get the Fave Napkin Burger. That is a 10-ounce all-natural beef patty with imported Gruyere, caramelized onions, and rosemary garlic aioli. It's as good as it sounds. They also have a lot of other things. They have great sushi. They have great cocktails. It is very popular. It's a pre-theater spot. I mean, it gets very loud and crazy and all that stuff, but you're just having, you know, you're having a New York experience. It'll be great. So this is still staying in the Hell's Kitchen area. It's just a block over. Now, as a tourist, you might not want to hit up a country western bar when you're in New York City. Understood. But I'm telling you what, if you're feeling the vibe, it's so much fun. It's called the Whalen. I love it because it's so contradictory to New York. They have an old-fashioned jukebox. You can play Garth, you can play Patsy, you can play Waylon. They also are one of the only bars in New York City that serve Lone Star. I love me a Lone Star, and their bar food's so good. I order fish tacos, which are amazing, and the queso, because how can you not? And I swig that down with the cold Lone Star and I feel just like Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. Okay, that might not be for everyone, but I had to throw it in because it's one of my favorite places. Guys, if you are in New York City in the wintertime and you don't have ramen, I need you to look at your life and look at your choices. This is not only one of our favorite ramen places, this is one of our favorite places. And there are a million ramen places, right? And I'm sure they're all great, but this one takes the cake for me, and it's because of a specific type of ramen they serve. It is Hyde Chan ramen, and I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm just doing it. Michelle Wong is also a fan of this place. This is for the die-hard spice lovers out there. There is a ramen bowl called the Red Dragon Bowl, and it is everything to me. This is like my favorite winter food. It's medicinal. It is so spicy, it makes your eyes water. If you can't handle that, then no. You get the other ramen, okay, which is amazing as well. There's like raw chips of garlic in there. It's truly amazing. I've never had a soup like this before, and you have to get it with the hot sake. Also, if you go Monday through Friday between 4:30 and 6:30, that's their happy hour. It's half-priced alcohol, $2 Sapporo drafts, and half-priced apps. Also, if you're a savage, you will go hard and you will get the extra noodles. Just saying. So now we're gonna move all the way downtown. We're going down to the Village, and the Village confuses people because there are two different villages, right? There's the East Village and the West Village. So when people just say the Village, they are referring to the West Village or Greenwich Village. The East Village is the East Village. I just broke it down for you. Does that make sense? All right, Cate, get down to it. Get down to the pizza. I'm gonna give it to you straight. I feel like everyone comes to New York and they're only focused on pizza. They're like, oh my God, I've heard that the best pizza is here. They're like in search of a slice on the street. They think that any slice they get is gonna be amazing. I feel like it's a bit of a myth. Am I saying that there's not amazing pizza in New York City? Nope. That's exactly not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, I mean, there's other good pizza other places. It's not like end all be all. Someone is gonna come for me in the comments, but listen, this is just my experience. After almost 15 years of being here, there's a lot of bad pizza here. It's hit or miss is what I'm trying to say. So let me help you out. Do not eat 99-cent pizza. I mean, you can, but you're gonna be disappointed and you're gonna walk away. You're gonna be like, what the hell, New York? You lied to me and my dreams are crushed. If you want like the real New York City delicious pizza, nitty-gritty experience, go to John's of Bleecker Street. This is a place I went with my parents years and years ago, and it was so legit. It's kind of divey, but that's kind of what you want, right? Like that's sort of the whole vibe. The pizza's like everything you want from a New York City pizza. It's doughy, it's fresh out of the oven, it's foldable, it's just freaking delicious. They don't have that many beers, but the beers they do have are just served in a huge ass frosty mug, and you just slurp that down after the pizza, and it is so good. And you sit in these booths and they're all like carved up by all the people who have sat there before. I mean, that's like what you want when you think of pizza in New York. You want like the deuce. Also, that sets you like right there in the West Village, which is one of the coolest places you can go in New York. And then you just hop around to a bunch of really fun stuff. Okay, so the next place I'm going to talk about is very near and dear to my heart because it's the place that I took Sarah of Better Off Red when we met for the first time. She and her friend Erin came to New York for a beauty convention last year, and we did a collab. If you haven't seen it, like, I'm totally judging you. It was so much fun, and so I planned out an evening for us, and we went to one of my favorite Lebanese restaurants. It's called Balad. We're moving on to the East Village now. East Village is one of the best places you can go when you visit New York City. You're gonna pay the least amount of money for amazing food from all kinds of different cultures. I've been to Balad 3 times over the last 10 years. Every time I've gone, I've taken one of my good friends and they're all like blown away. It's so cozy, it's so beautiful, it's so authentic. There's all this like gorgeous tile all over the restaurant. The hummus, the baba ganoush, the chicken shawarma, the lamb platters. Like, I mean, it's such a great place to take anyone, like a date, a friend, a group of people. Sarah, am I right? And the thing I love about that area is that beforehand or after you eat, you can hop around and you are guaranteed to discover all kinds of super fun places you never knew about. Moving on to Indian food, you are right in the center of it all because in the East Village, there is a whole row of incredible Indian restaurants referred to as Curry Row. It's on 6th Street. Honestly, I don't even know which one to tell you to go to. I've been to a couple in my time here. They're all just incredible. This is what I'm saying. So many things you stumble upon in the East Village are going to be hidden gems that you're like, oh my God, what's that place we went to like 5 years ago? It was the best, you know, whatever food I ever had. That's the East Village. All right, guys, we've come to a very, very important topic, a boozy brunch. If you come to New York City and you don't have a boozy brunch, I'm judging you. Now, I know other places think they do boozy brunches and they do them well. Ain't nobody having some boozy brunches like New Yorkers. I will also tell you that I'm an expert at finding out where the unlimited boozy brunches are located. Not every boozy brunch is created equal. Some of them aren't unlimited, but I'm gonna do you a favor and tell you about my favorite one that is. It's called Fonda. It is a Mexican restaurant. They have several locations. My favorite, of course, is in the East Village. For $40, you get an entree and unlimited alcoholic beverages for 1.5 hours. These are not watered down bullshit beverages, you know, because I've seen some watered down mimosas mimosas or some mimosas that are all orange juice. They let you have whatever you want, and let me tell you, you're gonna want this. This is one of my favorite margaritas I've ever had. This is Fonda's Rosalita Margarita. It's their signature frozen hibiscus margarita with silver tequila, hibiscus, orange liqueur, lime juice, and hibiscus rim. What? It is strong and it is delicious. I'm obsessed with it and you will love it too. Okay, we're moving on to Brooklyn, guys. I feel like I had to include a couple places in Brooklyn because I really do love Brooklyn so much. There's so much to be seen, so much to do in Brooklyn. So I'm not even gonna do it justice, but I'm gonna wrap up the video talking about two of my favorite places. They're both located in the same building, which is like a 2-in-1 situation, which is my favorite. I know I've talked about Alamo Drafthouse in a couple of my other videos. It's where we love to go to see movies. It's just great because they have so many really strict policies about talking in cell phones, which I highly encourage. It's really retro, it's really fun. They do all kinds of special screenings, like of old movies. That's where I went to the holiday brunch screening of The Holiday, which was awesome. It's just a really fun, unique, creative place for film buffs. So the reason I bring up Alamo Drafthouse is because that's what led us to this bar. So it's called the House of Wax and it's technically connected to the Alamo Drafthouse. It is one of the most unique concepts for a bar that I've ever seen, and I can't get enough of it. Combining mixology with the macabre, House of Wax is Brooklyn's newest and most curious full-service bar. Okay, I'm done. I feel like I was doing like a sexy voice and it's gonna go on too long. Based on the Panoptica touring attractions of the late 1800s, House of Wax exhibits a rare selection of waxwork sculptures featuring life-size, realistic displays of anatomy, pathology, anthropology, and even death masks of famous and infamous celebrities. It is a little bit gruesome. It's very macabre. It's very morbid. You kind of have to be into that stuff. If you're not, I mean, don't go there. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I kind of have like a really strong inner goth girl. You would never know that. Like I pretty much look like a Nazi youth, but I just have this side of me that has a love for like dark shit, like skulls and wax figures and Stepford Wives and horrors. So on top of like what the bar is centered around, they have great cocktails. I mean, these people are mixologists as well. They have one of the best beer selections in New York, and a lot of it is local, which is also really cool. So I just kind of want to spend my life there. Now we're going to talk about something that I feel like is one of the best ways to spend your money and your time in New York City, and that is going to a market. You have to go to the House of Wax now because this place is located right beneath it. This is the DeKalb Market. Alamo Drafthouse, House of Wax, DeKalb Market is in this huge complex in Brooklyn, which is really awesome. But drum roll, please, this is officially the biggest food hall in New York City. It showcases 40 vendors who reflect the cultural and ethnic diversity of the borough, so says the website. It's a little bit stressful, I'm not gonna lie, because there's so many options that you don't know what to choose, and if you choose all of them, you'll probably explode. There's an amazing Chinese sit-down restaurant down there. There's pierogies, there's ice cream, there's mini donuts, there's a wine bar, there's a craft beer bar down there. Like, you could spend all day down there. There's even a Katz's Deli down there if you can't make it to the actual Katz's Deli that exists in the East Village. I am exhausted after making this video. My God. So the last thing I want to mention is a teeny bit soapboxy, but I'm sorry, not sorry, because I have made a lot of my living here in New York City working in the service industry. Most of my friends have as well. I just want to impart to you, please tip your servers, your bartenders, your coat checks. They are not making an hourly livable wage, I assure you. They are working off of tips. That is how this great country of America works, particularly New York City. If you can afford to visit New York City, lay down that money that you paid to go out to eat, you can afford to tip the person who worked hard and served you. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. Please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this content. And I don't know, like, let me know what one place sounds the most interesting to you out of everything I mentioned. If you guys are enjoying my content, please do subscribe, share, and like, and click that little bell right beneath the video. That is what is going to alert you anytime I drop a new video. Cheers until next time.